In this video, let's discuss the places where we use should and ought to. There is a nuanced difference between these two words. We can use both words to give advice. For example, you should report to work every morning. You ought to report to work every morning. If you use ought to instead of should, it is more formal and old-fashioned. You should work hard. If not, you can say you ought to work hard. We can use both words for recommendations. Look at the examples. The agreement says that we should change the production process. The agreement says that we ought to change the production process. The lecturer said that the assignment should be submitted on time. The lecturer said the assignment ought to be submitted on time. We can use both words to talk about responsibility or duty. For example, I should sign on at 7:30 a.m. I ought to sign on at 7:30 a.m. to talk about the possibility. For example, I need more papers. They should be in the office drawer. I need more papers. They ought to be in the office drawer. Should or ought to plus have plus past participle. Sentence structure. We use this structure to talk about an expectation that something has happened, or will happen. Look at the examples. The letter should have reached them by now. The letter ought to have reached you by now. And also, we can use the same sentence structure to talk about an obligation in the past. You should have taken permission from the urban council before starting the project. You ought to have taken permission from the urban council before starting the project. Instead of should or ought to, we can use had better. For example, you should ask your parents before making a decision. You had better ask your parents before making a decision. But had better sounds like a warning or a threat. It can sometimes sound a bit rude. So we cannot use had better to replace should and ought to everywhere. In speaking English, to talk about obligations, we can use supposed to instead of should or ought to. For example, she was supposed to attend at 8 a.m. This meeting was supposed to end by now. We can form negative sentences like this. You should not work late. This is more common than ought to. You ought not to work late. Formal than the previous one. We can form questions like this. Should I work late? Ought I to work late? This is the end of the video. I hereby discuss all the places where we use should and ought to. Hope you got it. Thank you very much for watching. One final request, don't forget to subscribe.